with no clear-cut favorite in mind, myself and Colin, we talked about who we think should be the NBA Coach of the Year for this season. Hey everybody, welcome to Amateur Hour Sports. My name is Jacob. I've got Colin with me today to talk about the Coach of the Year race in the NBA. We don't think we're going to be able to see the rest of the regular season. So as we stand right now, who would be our Coach of the Year? Colin,
easy peasy. Nick Nurse. Not even a homer pick. It's not even because we're Raptors fans. I think Nick Nurse undoubtedly deserves the NBA Coach of the Year award. I think when you look at the records of, all the top teams, the Raptors are up there. Obviously, we're not as close as the Bucks are. Obviously, the Bucks are pretty far ahead. But when you consider two things, actually. When you consider two things about the Raptors. One, where everyone had them at the beginning of the season. A lot of people had the Raptors as not even a playoff team.
Lottery team,
basement playoff team, back to the dumpster. And I was like, why? Like, we still have a great team, even though we lost Kawhi and Danny Green, obviously. But I think we've defied all the odds. We've definitely turned heads of many, many American, sports media people. And two, the Raptors are probably the team or like among the top teams in the league who have had the most injuries. We have had plenty of injuries to overcome. We've had to, switch up the lineup every other game. We'll be on road trips where we'll be flip-flopping players in and out of the lineup. And as a coach, that's really tough to do. And considering all those injuries and considering where we were projected to be at the beginning of the season and looking at where we are now, I definitely think that Nick Nurse is the Coach of the Year. Yeah,
I 100% agree. And on your injury point, here's the Raptors starting five. You got Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Pascal Siakam, Marc Gasol, and then your two bench guys, your 6th and 7th man, Serge Ibaka and Norm Powell. Out of all the names I just listed, only OG Anunoby has not missed more than 10 games this season. I don't know if there's any other team in the NBA who could recover from losing 6 of your first 7 guys for that extended period of time.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Obviously, they're not all injured at the same time, but when you take that into account, right? Like, there were times where Lowry, Ibaka, Gasol, there were times where Ibaka and Gasol were hurt at the same time. We had to have Chris Boucher as our backup. We were playing OG Siakam and Chris Boucher and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson as our bigs.
We started Rondae Hollis-Jefferson at the 5 against Minnesota. Karl Anthony Towns did not have a good game either.
No. And again, that has to go. You have to give credit to Nick Nurse. And especially in his second year as head coach, last year a lot of people had doubts about a rookie head coach and everything with the Raptors, but he proved everyone wrong last year, and he's proving everyone wrong this year. One thing I do not like about Nick Nurse, I feel like he is by far the highest coach with the most hex. Or the coach with the most hex.
I think he either leads the league or he almost leads the league in hex.
Including players.
This includes players. Kyle Lowry's also right up there with Nick Nurse.
I don't like how Nick Nurse likes to freak out over every wrong or every call not in his favor. I think he could probably cool his head a bit and maybe make some friends with the refs.
Do you think that kind of fires up some players?
I think it might fire up some players, but I also think of it from a ref's perspective. And if you're a ref, if it's a 50-50 call and you have to make a call, and this guy's been giving it to me and this other coach has been nice, you never know. It might play. Obviously, it's in the rules that can't play a factor, but the refs are human, right? That could happen. But that's getting off topic. Nick Nurse, man. The guy is just... I want him to stay forever.
Yeah.
I want him to stay forever.
I can't believe what he's done with this team. You and me had the Raptors as a 5 seed in the East. Most, at least American analysts, would have said...
Probably 8
low, like 7, 8, maybe not even a lottery team. Back to the dumpster, right? There's that famous clip where American Analyst says back is a lottery. They're never gonna be anywhere near that again. And while they went on a 15-game win streak this year, it would have been nice to see the title defense in the playoffs. I hope we still get to see that. Maybe it'd be good for the Raptors to get a bit of rest to get the players healthy again. But regardless of the injuries, like this, has any team performed above expectations more than the Raptors this season?
I don't think so. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, when you look at where everyone had the Raptors coming into the season, like, it blows my mind at the fact that people failed to realize all the talent that was around Kawhi.
Yeah.
People failed to realize that. And that almost breaks my heart a little bit, because you've got so many guys that not only are good players, but that fit well with each other. And we've seen that with guys like Norman Powell, OG, like even guys like Matt Thomas, right? Terrence Davis, Nick Nurse, along with Masai Ujiri. They just know how to find these players that just somehow mesh together and are able to just make everyone just elevate their game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just sad that the Americans don't really get to see that.
Yeah, and I think Kyle Lowry is one of the most underappreciated players in the NBA. This
100%.
guy is stellar.
100%.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think he's the greatest Raptor in history, above Kawhi Leonard. This team was great. This team was great without Kawhi, and they're even better with Kawhi, obviously. And they're still great without Kawhi. This was a great team that Kawhi joined. Kawhi was just the extra guy on a great team that made them even better. But without Kawhi, they still remain that great team.
Yep.
And Nick Nurse unlocks, because you wouldn't expect this Raptors team to be three games ahead of the Boston Celtics.
And they're just so smart. Like, he's so smart with the way that he attacks defenses and the way that he defends offenses too. Like, it just seems like he has something in his bag for everything.
I think the difference between Nick Nurse and every other coach in the NBA, and I made the case earlier in the season that Nick Nurse is the second best coach in the NBA behind Greg Popovich, and the way the Spurs are playing, Nick Nurse is by far the best coach I've seen this season. Mm-hmm. What separates Nick Nurse from the rest is that every single team he plays against, they strategize defensively specifically for that team. Most teams, like the Lakers, they play every single game, same defensive strategy. They will go by that strategy. Maybe they'll tweak it if it's not working. But Nick Nurse sets up. It's almost like every single play
is like a different.
It's a different setup. Yeah. He'll see the 5 in the court and he'll set up completely for that 5.
One possession will be a zone. One will be a man. Like, you can even hear him and you can see him pointing out about how to set up the defense. And he's just so smart. Like,
every single possession is
it's like a game
critical.
of chess. It's like a game of chess.
Every single possession is critical for Nick Nurse, and that is why he has been so tremendous as a coach this season. 46-18 for this Toronto Raptors team.
Mm-hmm. For the team that wasn't even supposed to make the playoffs this year.
Who I did not see this coming, like, either. And I'm a huge Raptors fan.
Another fact, no coach has won Coach of the Year back-to-back.
No coach has won Coach of the Year back-to-back. Who won last year?
Won it last year.
Budenholzer won it last year.
If they give it to Frank Vogel, I am gonna lose my shit.
Yeah, if Frank
Vogel wins it, I'm gonna be so mad.
Budenholzer is the case. I'll give you that. Budenholzer is my number 2.
Yeah.
Tremendous coach. He was in my top 5 coach in the NBA. Where did I have him? I don't think I had him in my top 5 actually. Regardless, I think that the only parallel in terms of a coach who can produce like Nick Nurse is Eric Spoelstra, the way he sets up his defenses. But I think Nick Nurse for this season has just been that much better. I mean, the Heat are 41-24, the Raptors are 46-18 for a reason. Like,
I agree.
This is a tremendous coach. I hope we have Nick Nurse for a long time. I don't want him to leave.
I want him to stay for the rest of his career.
Because the Raptors with Nick Nurse, Masai Ujiri, they don't need draft picks.
We don't need those big free agents. We can find the diamonds in the rough.
We won an NBA championship without a lottery pick, I believe. I think Kawhi Leonard was our highest pick. What did he go? 15th? 17th? 15th. Maybe 15th, just him. Yeah. So maybe he was a lottery pick, but like barely.
We had an undrafted free agent point guard as probably who won it for us.
Fred VanVleet was the difference in the NBA Finals, by the way. It wasn't as good as Kawhi Leonard was. Fred VanVleet was the X factor. The Raptors won that because of how good Fred
big
VanVleet
time.
was.
He was, when Kawhi wasn't hitting shots, he was the big time bucket getter.
Yeah, like crazy deep threes. Like Game 4 was insane the way he played that. And shout out Kyle Lowry for I think 10 first quarter points in Game 6, the ultimate clinching game.
Yep.
All these pieces work together so well, and it is Nick Nurse that is the glue that holds all these players together as the unit they are.
He is the conductor of the orchestra.
Absolutely, and he is conducting a beautiful orchestra, might I say. I am shedding tears in the opera house. But that's it for this one. Thank you for listening. If you disagree with the Nick Nurse take, first of all, go search your facts.
Yeah.
Then if you still think that Nick Nurse
at us, and then we'll probably
you can come at us with any of the links in the description. You can also stay up to date with any way to consume amateur sports. We upload on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
These are great for quarantine times right now.
These are great. Hey, there's no sports, so at least
toss on an amateur hour PDC.
Toss on some amateur hour sports because there's no other sports to consume right now. Thanks for listening. Hopefully we see you for the next episode. From now on, amateur hour is going to be strictly video, so it'll be on YouTube. It won't be strictly. We'll still have Spotify and Apple Podcasts available to consume if you want, but from this point forward, it's going to be video-based. So I encourage you to consume the content on YouTube, but if you ever want to download it to listen in the car, listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, but just letting you know.
We're not going to say no.
Just letting you know it's tailored toward YouTube from this point on. It's been fun with this podcast setup, but hopefully amateur moves on to bigger things.
Greener pastures.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.